Hey guys, welcome back to Ask Deadly, the weekly show where I read your guys' questions and do my best to answer them. So let's get started. So last week, one of you guys asked me, when do you think they're going to be reworking the weapon recoil in DayZ Standalone? And as I mentioned, I have no idea. I don't really talk to the developers about this kind of stuff, nor do they share that type of information with pretty much anybody. However, I did my best to speculate, and some people weren't happy with that question. For example, Sergey Sobolev, he quoted me saying they're going to be reworking the recoil in the beta, which is what they've said many times on the status reports. He goes on to say that the developers have promised that DayZ would reach beta in Q4 2015. I would love to see a source on that. He might not be wrong, but I would love to see a source on that. And of course, the yeah period, okay period. There's a lot of negativity going around the DayZ community in terms of development times. And obviously, it's frustrating to be passionate about DayZ in a period like this where there seems to be a lot of people lashing out and unhappy. But we just got to be optimistic. And if you still like this game, or if you like survival shooters, just play DayZ every now and again, and just hopefully down the road, once it does get to beta or once modding gets introduced into the game, it will finally become something that you're interested in. But if you ever get really frustrated over a video game, my recommendation is just to stop playing that game. Like, if you can't handle it, if it's frustrating you too much, if you feel like you didn't get your money's worth, which what's really funny is mostly everybody who's really complaining has put thousands of hours in this game. They just want to see DayZ become the best that it can be. But for those that haven't had their money's worth out of the game, my suggestion to you is just be patient with it, or just try to forget about DayZ Standalone for the next little while until it finally does reach beta, whenever that actually happens. And staying relevant to the conversation, the next question comes from Felix, and he's basically saying that whenever somebody starts talking about problems in DayZ, there are always a lot of individuals who come back and say, hey, it's going to be coming in beta, there's going to be new modules, there's going to be new engines, just be patient, wait for 0.63. And some people are pretty tired about that. And even though that we've come a long way from the original state of DayZ Standalone, Felix is basically saying, what's going to happen if things just don't work out in beta? And I think that's really going to be a lot of people disappointed. For, I think, many content creators, including myself, if all these promises are just still not delivered on, there will become a point in time where the community will start looking elsewhere. And I don't believe that time is just yet, but I'm going to be reserving my thoughts until 0.63 reaches experimental and stable branches. So we'll have to see where that goes down the road. Next question coming in from RHW. Can Twitch Prime free subscribers join you on Saturday? Of course, a Twitch Prime subscriber is no different than a regular subscriber. The only thing that is different is the method of payment. So either you're an Amazon Prime user or you're a subscriber that's using PayPal or credit card. So if you are a Twitch Prime subscriber, you have access to every feature a regular subscriber has. You're just a regular sub. Next question comes from Little Loyal. What is a good first-person private hive that I know? I tried DayZ Underground, but the big-ass groups of M4s annoy the fuck out of me. Well, there's a lot of established groups on US and EU, and a lot of highly skilled players typically roll on those servers because they're literally the best servers in the world. Statistically, they've been number 1 and number 2 for a very long time. There are some other good first-person servers like UN and old school DayZ, but other than that, I think the UKA server finally got shut down. So you kind of have to just pick and choose whatever first-person servers that are really popular for your time slot. Those would be the ones that I would play on. And try not to get too, I guess, overwhelmed with the amount of skilled players on Underground. You can still meet and have a lot of fun with some survivors in the coastal cities and try to go on a crazy adventure. You'd be surprised that there's a lot of people that won't kill on sight if you don't have a gun in your hands. So they will opt to rob you or work with you or trade supplies with you. I think if you're struggling and you're getting kill on sight a lot, I would keep the gun on your back at all times. But good luck on your search, and let me know if you find a server that you find home. Next question comes from Ryan Fisherman. Good day, mate from New Zealand. Who is your favorite DayZ YouTuber? Did you ever watch much Frankie on PC back in the day? Do you ever dream of making your own game ideas? Yeah, well, I watched a lot of Frankie on PC back in the DayZ mod days. I loved Frankie's videos, and also Jack Frags. I think my favorite DayZ YouTube series of all time has to be Jack Frags' Hive Bandits. You can go to Twitch or youtube.com/jackfrags and look for it. I highly recommend it for anybody that wants to see one hilarious playlist when it comes to DayZ mod. Have you ever played Arma 3 Exile, and if you did, do you like it? I've played it before, but it wasn't my favorite Arma 3 mod, so I don't play it anymore. Next question comes from Husks. Hey, DeadlySlob, are you planning to upgrade your GPU to get a better performance, or do you think that old 970 is still suits your needs? Dude, I think a 970, it's not that old. I mean, I bought my 970 in May of 2016. I get that question a lot. That's why I chose it. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. Sure, it's not a 1070 or 1080, but it's certainly not an old GPU, so it works fine, actually. I had a 770 and I used that for about 3 or 4 years. So it's not so bad. I'll probably be using the 970 for at least another year or two because there's really no need for me to increase it unless I'm going to that 4K quality. Next question comes from Livin' in a Bubble. Is PUBG any good? It looks way better than DayZ. Well, it is also very different from DayZ. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is more of a H1Z1 King of the Kill Arma 3 Battle Royale game. It's the standalone version of both of those combined and created by the same individual. So the same person that made the original DayZ mod, who did Arma 3 Battle Royale, who did King of the Kill, is producing Battlegrounds. So yeah, it is a lot of fun, and what is amazing to me is the development speed. We've only known about this game in the community for just over a year now, and we're playing it in beta, and it's going to be released on Steam like this week on March 23rd. It is a massive game, and I love it, so I'll be playing it a lot on YouTube and on the streams, so expect to see that on the channel quite frequently. Next question comes from Physio TV. In DayZ, what gun do you prefer, the AKM, the M4, or the AUG? Definitely not the AKM. The AKM I have a love-hate relationship with. Sometimes I do very well with it whenever I have a suppressor and a PSO-11. I pretty much always need a suppressor and a PSO optic on an AKM in order for it to do quite well. If I don't have those, I would almost always prefer the M4 or the AUG. Maybe an M4 with Magpul handguard and buttstock with an ACOG scope suppressed. Or the AUG is just overall a really amazing weapon. So it would be a hard toss-up between the M4 and the AUG, depending on what attachments I had available to me. Next question comes from The Devil. Hey Deli, what is the ultimate objective/goal of DayZ for you as a player? Well, to start things off on the coast, just create a stick and a stone knife right away, loot some initial villages, slowly working my way towards a military camp, and then eventually try to get some military equipment and look and hunt down for some players to do some robbery, some banditry, or work with other survivors. Sometimes whenever I am a Bambi, my primary goal is to actually meet as many people as possible, so either interacting with them in a positive way or hitting them in the face with a long wooden stick in a negative way. It's just part of the game, you know, it's just a progressive part. One of the newest things I've been doing for the last couple weeks has been using that radio. Just picking up a radio and a battery is one of my most favorite things to do now because I can almost always talk to somebody on the radio and meet those survivors and work together. And it's something that I highly recommend that you guys start doing and using the default channel 87.8 FM to do that, so we can all meet together on these first-person servers and actually trade and potentially talk about where bandits are, where PvP is happening, and things like that, just to stay in contact with other players while on the server. Next question comes from Scott Zords. Hey Deli, if you didn't play DayZ, would you still be playing World of Warcraft? And what is your favorite drink to have while streaming? For me, no. World of Warcraft, I'm so done with that game. I highly doubt that I'll actually play any more expansions or care too much more about World of Warcraft unless they introduce vanilla WoW servers. That is about the only thing I'm interested in right now when it comes to that game. So who knows, down the road, if Blizzard does decide to finally go with what their community has been wanting for so long and actually introduce some vanilla WoW servers, you'll see me on there from time to time, and hell, maybe I'll even make a couple videos for it. But until that point, I'm done with retail World of Warcraft for now, and I think it's just about time for me to move on to just stick to survival shooters here on the YouTube channel as well. Also, you asked me what's my favorite drink to have while streaming. Coffee and water. I don't really get into the energy drink hype as much as some other streamers do. The last question of the day comes from John Wick. Would you rather play DayZ Standalone or Battlegrounds? Well, I think that's a pretty loaded question because DayZ Standalone I think will always be my primary game, or a game that I'm going to be interested in for the years to come, even though we're sort of in this weird, awkward slump with the development process of DayZ right now. Essentially waiting for 0.63 for the large majority of bugs to be fixed and the new engines to be working properly together. So until then, I'm obviously going to be playing some other survival shooters out there like Battlegrounds, which is a really good choice. I honestly don't think DayZ will ever truly be done. I think the developers are going to get the game into feature complete state and pass it over to the modding teams and the community. And just like in the DayZ mod, we'll have to see how far the community is willing to take the game before finally dropping it and moving on to something else. I still think we got a few more years left to DayZ standalone before people will start to truly move on. There's a lot of stubborn people out there, including myself, that really want to see this game reach its final state. But will the community be around, and will there be enough hype and people interested in standalone once it's finally featured complete? I hope so, but we'll have to see. That's an impossible question to answer right now. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Ask Deadly episode. A lot of questions regarding DayZ and Battlegrounds and the future of the game, and I know a lot of people are, I guess, concerned, to say the least, with the current state of DayZ standalone, and that's totally understandable. And there's also been a number of slam videos created recently, basically discussing what are the core issues with DayZ in its current state, and why a lot of creators are getting frustrated with the experience and the wait and these long development times when it comes to the game. And obviously the big one, essentially waiting for 0.63 to come out for most of the game-breaking bugs to be resolved. And that's a long period of time. And a lot of people, including myself, we have a vested interest in to see DayZ succeed. You know, it's our full-time job, a lot of this content creators. And some of the content creators who are actually producing the slam content, they do this for a living, YouTube that is. Now, not everybody is 100%, you know, primary game DayZ standalone, but a lot of them have had their roots in the DayZ mod and into DayZ standalone, which has helped build their communities up and have grown their channels. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are so passionate to see standalone succeed, and why so many people are frustrated whenever they see it not go in the direction in which they want it to go. There's also been a lot of criticism from the other side, like people who are overly optimistic about the future of DayZ, criticizing these individuals who are creating content and expressing their own opinions about the state of the game. And there's also been a few people, unfortunately, who have even been banned by the developers through social media practices. So it is a big mess. I mean, people are frustrated and people are passionate and emotional all across the board right now in the DayZ community. And at the end of the day, every single individual here just wants to see it succeed. So for me, you know, I'm sitting on the fence. You know, I understand from a development point of view that it can be frustrating to have a community basically turn on you a little bit and start getting really frustrated and want to expect more. And on the other side, you know, as a content creator, I can see how easy it can be to just sit down and vent and express your frustrations to hundreds of thousands of individuals for the most part, if you have that kind of audience. So there's also been a few individuals who have been criticizing those who have been creating these opinion pieces, which, again, I don't think that does any good in this situation. If somebody has an opinion and they wish to express it, that's kind of what YouTube is about. And I just try not to get involved on either side of the story. And last week during the Ask Deadly episode, I had one individual mention the silo video, which I commented on and shared it around, which I agreed in a few points and disagreed in other points. But I tried to remain objective, and that's all I'm trying to do. So there's been a few more individuals who have created really passionate videos lately about the state of DayZ, and I think it's important to remember on both sides of the fence that everybody just wants the same thing, and that's an amazing DayZ experience, because we all know what this game can be, which is one of the best in the world, and that's why everyone is so passionate about it. That's why content creators love to stream it, create videos for it, play the game. There's just simply not anything else like it, and that's why it's going to be my primary game for now and into the future, and still exploring things like Escape from Tarkov and Battlegrounds. So that is a very long answer to a pretty easy question, but I also wanted to just talk to you guys about what's been going on in the community lately. And I've been keeping my eyes open, and I've been keeping my mouth shut because, it's a difficult time, I guess. Let's just say that. But if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also check out the daily live streams every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at noon. A link to that will be included in the description box below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for some more survival shooters here on my YouTube channel.